You are listening to episode 35 of the EU Startups podcast. Today's guest is IriusRisk Co-founder Cristina Bentue, who created an innovative threat modeling platform for developers. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the EU Startups podcast. Before we jump into the interview with today's guest, I'm excited to introduce our podcast sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Vanta, helping you scale security practices and automate compliance for the industry's most sought-after standards. To close and grow major customers, you have to demonstrate trust. But providing your security and compliance can be time-consuming, tedious and expensive, especially for startups, unless you use Vanta. Vanta automates up to 90% of the work for the most sought-after compliance standards like SOC 2 and ISO 27001 and gets you audit-ready in weeks instead of months. With Vanta, you get up to 400 hours of your time back and reach up to 85% in cost savings. And for a limited time, EU Startups listeners get $1,000 off Vanta. Just go to vanta.com/EU startups without a dash to get started. And now I'm handing over to my colleague Patricia and to today's guest.
Hello and welcome to this latest episode of the EU Startups podcast. Now, today I'm really looking forward to chatting to our guest, who is Cristina Bentue. She is the COO and the co-founder of IriusRisk. Founded in 2015, it's a company working within the cybersecurity field, which is a sector that's growing pretty fast in our increasingly digital world, it's fair to say. And in fact, the company recently hit a very major financing milestone. So the platform essentially empowers security and development teams to ensure that applications have security built in right from the beginning. And I'm sure Cristina will be able to talk about this and explain it in a lot more detail than I can. So aside from this, Cristina is also a really inspiring advocate for improving diversity within the entrepreneurial landscape. And she's regularly involved with programs such as Inspiring Girls and Women for Cyber. And these are different organizations which are aimed at promoting STEM as a viable and successful and welcoming career choice for women and girls. So I'm also really excited to talk to her a little bit more about that. So first of all, Cristina, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's really great to have you here. So I guess just to start off, how would you describe IriusRisk? What is this company that you have created?
Well, we started as you said, in 2015, my partner and I, we had an idea for a new cybersecurity product in a new space. So we started working in consultancy, which we didn't like much, the minimum hours possible in order to dedicate the rest of the time to develop the product and to build the company. IriusRisk is a company that is aiming nowadays to secure all software at design time. Let me give you an analogy. The same way you don't stick the airbags in the wheel of a car after it's being built, you care for the security of your software before even a line of soft code is written. It's called security by design.
Okay, interesting. And so what was the inspiration for you to start the company up?
Yeah, well, realizing during our consultancy time in this cybersecurity boutique shop, and it was the lack of automation that there is at the beginning of the software development. And also the amount of work that the security analysts carry. Imagine that there is one security analyst per every 100 developers. So imagine the amount of code, that they are producing. And there is this little person in the middle being the bottleneck, just trying to stop all this code, and their work needs tools to help them manage the security of all that code. Working in a cybersecurity consultancy, we were used to finding the same flaws in the design of the application. We thought a machine should be doing part of my work, not me. So we developed that machine. Now that platform is helping thousands of developers and security analysts as well, all around the world, to build secure software quicker and with savings for the business side.
Interesting. So really helping that person and equipping them with the weapons they need. So it's not just a one-man battle anymore.
Exactly. They are desperate, and we have a lack of resources. There's not enough people in cybersecurity. So they need to be helped by tools.
Absolutely. And I guess helping with tools as well can help cut down costs and help other firms with other resource issues that they may have too.
Yes, exactly. And our business is to help companies, large companies for now, because they are the ones that are more mature in security consciousness. And but we aim for the medium and small businesses to start having this set mindset as well, which is being responsible for the cybersecurity that comes out of their products.
Interesting. Okay. And so, as I mentioned earlier, you've hit a pretty major financing milestone recently. I think it was like 29 million euros you were able to secure, which, I mean, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
So could you tell us a little bit about how you've actually grown the company in your role as CEO?
Yes, well, we were two founders when we started, and we bootstrapped for a year and a half. I don't know if you understand what bootstrap means. In our case, means
a lot of hard work,
eating the same food every day, living out of a vegetable garden, eggs from the chicken, solar panels, and a well. So we had zero expenses.
I mean, it sounds very sustainable. It sounds very sustainable living.
Very much. We are in the bulk of the age. So we built our own cottage in rural Spain. I know that is the epitome of bootstrapping. Some of very successful businesses are born in garages in Silicon Valley, and this is somehow similar, isn't it? So yeah. So it was hard times, but the call of this project was so fulfilling that it didn't feel like a struggle. And when we had the beta version of the IriusRisk platform, it's when we went into private investment. And as you mentioned, our Series B allowed us to grow from the two founders that we were to 140 employees all over the world, from the US to Australia, and a constant yearly growth of nearly 100%. We just went from a startup to a scale up, which entails new challenges as well.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, and it's quite an impressive growth story. And I also think it could make a really nice movie idea, no? Like seeing rural Spain growing up there.
I know. People is very impressed by the story. Yeah, we didn't even have the 3 Fs. My family, friends, and fools were not even believing in our project, but they were encouraging us a lot, and my mother was making us food, and somehow they allowed us to grow. And yeah, it's a fairy tale story, I must say.
Absolutely, it's quite incredible. And so I guess my next question then, looking at the general cybersecurity space, like we know this is a really massive growth area, and cybersecurity, it's talked about across industries, and it's important for so many players as the world goes increasingly into a cyber format. Could you tell us a little bit more about what cybersecurity actually is for any of our listeners who maybe aren't so familiar, and why it's so important?
Yes. Well, nowadays, and given the geopolitical circumstances that we are living in, cybersecurity is of the utmost importance. We have to think that defense now is not only in the physical boundaries, but securing a country means securing their banks, the energy sector, the critical infrastructures, biotechnology, and most of it's software. So let's think about it like every large company is currently a software company. For example, one of our first customers that we still have is Inditex, the Zara and Mangos of the world. Inditex is one of the, if not the first retailer company in the world. And they always say that they make T-shirts. That's what they make. Well, They make t-shirts and 2,000 applications a year. So it's a software company for me. And all that software needs to be secure. There are many challenges at the moment. The lack of experts I told you about in the field creates a bottleneck in the software development. And we should automate all possible areas of that process. And we should go from being reactive, that's how nowadays we are responding to cyber events, and face them proactively, integrating, embedding security during coding, not bolting code security after everything is made. We have to think about an application or a program as if it was an industrial product. So the industry sector has very, very integrated in their beliefs that everything has to be secure by design. You don't put the security measurements in a house. Once the house is built, you need an expert to tell you. And that's how we work, exactly the same. We work over a mirror board, we automized the whiteboard working in a room. So yeah, cybersecurity is still not. We haven't seen we've seen the tip of the iceberg. Let's put it this way.
Interesting. Yes, it seems like we're in a real paradigm shift in a way of how we actually, as you mentioned, perceive what security is. It's now just not a physical thing. It's about this cyber and this digital space. And so what do you see? I mean, you mentioned that the geopolitical crises that we have at the minute that maybe show the relevance of cybersecurity, but in addition to those, what would you say would be the main challenges in the cybersecurity space at the moment?
Well, the main challenges is regularization. It's how do you call it? It's all these obligations that are coming from the government or from the industries, like the PCI, like payment card industry. They come from. It has to have some regulations. So far, now we are starting seeing that they are obliging software to be secure by design in certain verticals, like medical, like financial, but it must be everywhere. When software is from our cars to our defibrillators, we must prevent cyber attacks at all levels of society, and it has to. We have to do. The main challenge is evangelizing about that, about not that this can happen to you, no matter how small or big your company is. It can happen to you. So you are responsible for the security of the products for the end consumer. We can't throw security into the shoulders of some other third-party provider or even another department within our own company. We should all take part in security, and for that we have to have it easy to do. So we need experts bringing cybersecurity from the realms of the clouds and the conceptions to every computer user. And that's the biggest challenge I can see.
Interesting. And so I guess, that makes for a lot of space for growth as well, to actually, as you say, trickling it down from the high level, from the cloud, right into every kind of company and process and strategy. Interesting. Yes. And so turning now to yourself, I'm very interested in your personal entrepreneurial background. And I mean, you're obviously the founder of this really fast growing company, the Scale Up. Did you always know that you would become a founder?
I have not always been in the cyber world, not to mention being a founder. But life has funny ways, doesn't it? And here I am evangelizing about the democratization of cybersecurity for all. But the decision to go from a monthly fixed payroll to a freelance status, which is uncertain, it gives you isolation. It's very hard to the non-security of having a paycheck every month. It puts you in moving earth, and so. But it came for me without pain, because there was a need inside of me to create IriusRisk once the idea appeared in my mind. It was the project that pulled me in. I just obeyed the call, you can say. I just went for it. And it's hard, but it takes you out of your comfort zone. And I've always been very pro testing different things and putting myself to the test of challenges. And I just get bored too quickly. So being in a payroll, doing the same every month for somebody that I never knew and never met, and I had no means of meeting them. It was a bit frustrating, but this is I answer to a bigger call, and it's helping society to be more secure. I think I know it sounds a bit naive, but we really want to build a secure society. When software is everywhere in our daily lives, from our remote work to medical devices, we should protect it. And it just came naturally for me.
Interesting. So a real passion project, and it's you, as you say, you're pursuing something that you genuinely really believe in to make an impact, bettering the world. Yeah, yes. And I'm sure you're not bored anymore. I don't think the life of a founder, it generally isn't described as being boring.
No, definitely not. It's very exciting every day, for good or for bad. It's always very exciting.
And so, of course, I mean, in Europe, we have a little bit of a diversity problem. And in 2022, the Atomico State of European Tech Report actually showed that the percentage of funding going to female lead companies had decreased to about 1%. It's super hard for female-led teams to get access to funding. They come up across a lot more challenges than male-led teams and male entrepreneurs. And that's across sectors. And I think it's fair to say that cybersecurity and STEM is even more male dominated. So I was wondering if you could maybe share some of your experiences or your kind of the challenges that you've had to come across as a female entrepreneur in this space.
Well, yes, that's. I might talk a lot. You stop me anytime, because this is a subject that gets me very, very inside. And for me, being a female founder means contributing with another optic to all matters. Also creating a more empathic working space and more caring, giving more importance to being reflective and to have logical doubts, to meditate on problems. We balance with our organic but steady growth, the exponential growth of the young. I prefer to talk about the yin and the yang than female and male, but I'm a firm believer that women add the yin to the story. And sometimes it means doing things that don't immediately return in income, but they establish the basis that makes everything able to flourish, like strategy or internal operations. As for the challenges, for me, I think there are two challenges. One, for being a woman, it meant, and I guess it still means, fighting the imposter syndrome, always trying to achieve more, to demonstrate my value, and justifying myself, my right to be here in a highly technological environment, and even also in a high-level directive position where you won't easily see women. But I've been blessed with having great dedicated mentors that took the time to teach me, and to be surrounded by the most beautiful colleagues from who I learn every day and make my work so enjoyable. But another challenge, not about being a female, but being a startup from rural Spain, it's that the difficult part was to have access to private investment. Since traditional investment is out of the question, banks and so on, for a startup, they don't understand well a SaaS company and the financial strategy of a startup. And having the headquarters in a small rural town in Spain did not help. We were a very highly technological company in the wrong environment. And so we were perceived as risky. Won't believe the amount of times, Patricia, that they told me, you have to move to Madrid or you're never going to reach or achieve anything. I heard it so many times from private investment. And that was very demoralizing because of the family I have to take care of, my parents. I couldn't move from here. And it was, do I really have to choose between family and work? Between family and my dreams. And I persisted, and here I am. I'm still in Huesca.
Amazing. You've really fought against the odds, because I think as well, the kind of, when you're mentioning about wanting to move you away from rural Spain, that's taking away some of your identity and this aspect of what makes you. And that's so important in a founder, right? To have your strong sense of identity. And I guess as well, that to me kind of connects to what you're mentioning about imposter syndrome, which is a super common, frighteningly common issue for women across industries, spaces, countries. Why do you think that so many of us women suffer from imposter syndrome?
Well, first of all, we have to. It's a curious question. It's an interesting question. I think that historically, we haven't been able to do so many things. We've been away from the social prisma. My mother couldn't do higher studies. My mother couldn't open a bank account without the husband or the father. My grandmother couldn't vote. It's yesterday, all this, and we've been excluded from all the society fields, and not to mention the professional fields. So there is so much we have to do that traditionally. I remember my grandmother, beautiful person, but she said to me once, "Why do you want to study if you're going to take care of your children and your house?" And that is the reality. We've been away from the progress or being excluded from it. And the cases of success of women in progress has been hidden away. So we all have the imposter syndrome somehow when we leave the house.
Okay. Yeah, because it's so embedded within our society still. And as you're saying, all these things are so recent. It's not so long ago that we've had equal rights and equal footing as men, I guess, as well.
Yes, mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so how have you seen IriusRisk has been running now since 2015. We're now in 2022, heading into 2023. How have you seen the diversity and inclusivity of Europe's entrepreneurial space change over the past 5 years? Has it changed?
Oh yes. We have to think and believe it's a big truth. In a cynical world that we are nowadays, there's a big truth that today is the time when society has been more inclusive. That is for sure. That thanks to role models showing their leadership in the cybersecurity world or in any professional world, women who have stepped in hard and tried to change things. In the past 5 years that you mentioned, that you indicated, many are the associations that are offering this visibility of the work of women in the sectors. For example, every major conference now has a specific track for women in cybersecurity or many other technological opportunities. And remote work with the pandemic and the establishing of remote work, that has helped a lot women to be able to balance between professional and personal life. So we've seen them, but we are seeing women in all traditionally male spaces nowadays. But because our mothers and grandmothers have fought for us to be able to study.
Interesting. Yeah. So as we've studied, the glass ceiling has been broken, and we're not getting there. And just out of curiosity, who would you describe as your role model?
That's a good one. I think that Michelle Obama was one of my first role models when I started, because, she was the wife of, but she made something for herself. She made, she She achieved being independent from a political perspective and helped children, especially girls from all ages, to achieve their dreams. And it was her work with girls that inspired me to enroll the associations I am with right now. And she keeps on going. She keeps on doing amazing work. But now that his husband is not in the spotlight, she has disappeared from the news. But she's still somebody to follow, really.
Absolutely, I completely agree. For me as well, she's definitely a role model. So yeah, you mentioned there as well the associations that you're involved with, that you are that are helping to really promote a women's role in this space, and to highlight women as well, and to get more women and girls into the career path in the STEM world. So can you talk about these initiatives a little bit?
Yes, well, I work with two of them, Inspiring Girls in one side and Women for Cyber, that is a spin-off of EXO, the European Cybersecurity Organization. And they tackle the same social issue, but from different angles.
Okay,
Inspiring Girls is focused on the ages from 7 to 15, and it empowers them to achieve their dreams, whatever they might be. At Women for Cyber, I oversee cybersecurity specific projects run or executed by women, and I mentor them. But with Inspiring Girls, I travel. I learn a lot, because I travel the rural schools in the Pyrenees, here, the mountains between France and Spain.
Beautiful.
Yes, the rural schools they have a very different dynamic from the urban schools, but that is a subject for another talk. When I go to these schools, for example, let me tell you the activity, my favorite activity. I just push them to pursue their dreams. So I ask them to write in a piece of paper what will they be when they grow up. And after my talk about their chances and chasing dreams and everything you aim for can be possible, I ask them to write down not what they will be when they grow up, but what they want to be when they grow up. And the answer is always different in the two moments. So,
wow, that's very fascinating.
Every time, and every single girl, they say, I am going to be this, but I would like to be that. And that, yes, and that you don't see it in boys. You just don't see it. You have more chances of them writing the same in the two. So it makes me wonder a lot, and I read lots of studies, academical studies, and so on, to try to understand. Microsoft has a very good one about this. Why girls are forces of nature up till when they are 7. And they believe they're better than boys, and they have better grades and everything. And then from 7 to 15, something happens there. I don't know what happens there, but their self-esteem has lowered down so much. So I'm trying to tackle with Inspiring Girls these ages.
Do you think it's maybe something to do with, as you mentioned, with the role models, or they become more aware of what's in the media and social media, or they become more aware of what people are telling them of what they can achieve or what they can be when they grow up? Because I mean, it's quite mind-blowing to think that they see what they want to be, but they limit themselves.
Yes, and it's as many studies as I read, I cannot give you an answer. It's something that happens. I don't know if it's puberty or when they go into society, they start hearing all these things that they are in the DNA of society still, because we have a lot of work to do fighting for our rights. And I still don't have an answer, but I hope that the next time we talk, I can give you one. Really, this mystery has to be sorted. This mystery has to be sorted to tackle it more frontally.
I think it's like a number one priority.
Yes.
So Women for Cyber then, so you have, Inspiring Girls, you're literally inspiring girls and starting at the very beginning and building confidence and trying to remove these barriers for young girls. And then you have Women for Cyber, which you mentioned is like a mentoring program. Could you share a little bit more about how it works?
Yes, they assign Women for Cyber couples, mentors with mentees. And for example, I'm not very technical, so I couldn't help these women forming or creating their software. But other women can do that. So I write down my capabilities and they match me with a mentee that needs to grow in those capabilities. So for me, for example, I've been assigned with a lovely girl that wants to have a louder voice in a male-oriented environment that she's working in. And another one that wants to work on the soft skills and leadership. And it's about creating a company as well. So I mentor them in entrepreneurship. It's more work and work focused.
Yes, so it's like kind of like matchmaking mentors with mentees and mentees with mentors to kind of help collaboratively boost and enhance skills, so that obviously when women are confronted with different challenges that they might have in the business world, they are better equipped to deal with them, I guess.
Yes, exactly. And it's working very well. This is the pilot that we are doing. It's the first time that it launches this year. And we are seeing a great success. All the mentees are very happy, and us, the mentors, are learning a lot from our mentees too.
Amazing. I absolutely love it. And so, with these different organizations that, of course, you're involved with, there are a number of other ones from across Europe to support more women become founders, more women in tech, and more women in cyber, as you mentioned as well. Do you think that now we have an opportunity to make the future of tech a female one?
Well, I will vote more for. I wouldn't go for male or female. I will say it needs to be balanced, and each giving their side of the prism. But I envision more and more women pursuing STEM careers, as it has been for the last years that we talked before, because we are starting from zero, and we are seeing them breaking free now and being encouraged by role models, by associations, and this is working now, because, as I said, we need to fight for our generation, the same way that my grandmother fought for the right to vote, my mother for the right to study. My generation has, I think, 3 fighting fronts open. One is the Me Too movement, not to fight against it, but pro it, and fighting against the glass ceiling, and women in male-oriented spaces. And it helps it because there is this thought that women are not encouraged, or they don't want to get involved into STEM because it cannot be associated personal life with professional life. But the amount of possibilities that remote work and flexible hours can mean to them, they need to be seized. And plus it's a guaranteed work, and it's well paid. And there are some of us that gives 4 days a week to work without salary reduction. You also have access to specialized training within the companies to keep you updated, and they pay for your certifications. Now we are in better position, society is in better position to achieve the balanced world.
Absolutely, I think so as well. I think it's very interesting as well. You mentioned the idea, with remote work as well can help remove some of the barriers to women, especially when women tend to be overburdened with things like childcare and familial care. And so, looking at how changing our attitudes of what work looks like and how we balance it in our lives, and how that can also promote more inclusivity as a whole, not just for women, but also for people of other underrepresented backgrounds, can be better supported to pursue these high-level careers in tech.
Exactly. I think that the tech is offering all the right things to allow the possibility of a good balanced life for everybody.
Interesting. It's great to hear. So the future of tech certainly sounds like it has the potential to be inclusive, which is what we like to hear. So just I was wondering then as well if you could share, what does the future of IriusRisk look like?
Oh, we're right now deep into evangelization of security by design to make threat modeling mainstream. And as I said, to bring it from the very mature and security-focused organizations like finance, to bring it down to everybody, medium and small companies. But for that, we have to make it easier for users. We have to stop putting all this mystery of technology around cybersecurity, or like physicists used to have before. It's not rocket science. We need that every developer can have a self-service of security task in their software architecture. We cannot rely solely in the security analyst. This is why IriusRisk funded Threat Modeling Connect, which is a forum to make this accessible to all, without the mystery of technology, regardless of the stage in the threat modeling journey. In addition, we also have a free version of the tool called Community Edition to get people started, because we believe that we cannot threat model the world, but the world can threat model itself. And so we need cooperation amongst all of us to bring down to reality the exquisities of this cyber world.
Great. It sounds very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to see what's to come for IriusRisk as well, see what's to come from Inspiring Girls and Women for Cyber. It's really great to hear these different initiatives and programs that you're working on, and to hear your story. So thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
Thank you very much, Patricia. It's been great. Thank you.